Thank you for joining me today. Recently, I was asked by one friend to make a standard size teddy bear to this pattern. And then another friend asked me to make another one using the same pattern, but to enlarge it. So this video, although I have posted it with the how to make a memory bear, I'm actually reposting it just on how I increased the size of the pattern that I needed for the second bear. And I hope that it explains it in a way that is quite useful to you. I actually show you how to graph up and to transpose the pattern from one graph onto the other. You could use the same idea and make the pattern smaller or even bigger. It's entirely up to you. So let's get on with it. I had thought this was 14 inches. It's actually 18 to the base and the top of the head. I'm going to draw the graph on the paper behind. This is newspaper paper, so it's really quite cheap and rather useful for all sorts of things. I had hoped to find paper already graphed. All I've done is drawn a graph, and I decided to do 1 inch squares for it. And I'm just tracing out the bear. Now I've done both on the same graph because these are the originals. I don't want to be messing around too much, so I'm going to take my time. I've done one in blue and one in black so I can tell the difference where they cross over. I didn't want to have to graph up the original twice because I've got to do that for the new one. Just take your time when you're doing this. It is worth the effort. This is the black one. He starts about here. So I'm going to do A, B, C, D, there. But I'm also going to do it down here as well. But I'm not going to do it right on the end. I'm actually going to go across here. So A, B, C, D. I want them to be separately marked and the same down here. There we go. And then on the blue one I'll do numbers when I get round to it. So I've measured my paper out to 29 inches, stuck to the table, and then across the edge there. It shouldn't move, it should be exactly the same size on the other side. Now I've measured it to 29 inches this side and close that off too. Madam, can you get off, please, darling? I'm just going to put lengths of tape all the way across here, like that, so it's stable, and I'll do the same on the other side, so it's held in position. Just remember when you're doing a grid, if you're going to start on this side to go down, start opposite and go down the same way. Otherwise you might end up mismatching and then your lines will go in a strange direction. So I'm going to start here and mark it off 1.5 all the way across. I did 1 inch on the smaller one, but I'm timesing it by 1.5. Take your time, don't rush it, because I've got to go along both sides to do this. So if I was to measure out from this side 1.5 inches, then my lines would not go straight across. So having done that, turn my paper over like that, where there's a good corner, and I'm going to go back the other way 1.5 inches. So I'll do it this side because there's where the 1/2 inch is, all the way across. And then when I line it up, my marks will be parallel, like that. I've got to mark them all up with the alphabet in a minute so that I know where all the shapes go. I remember being taught this when I was in junior school. So that's how you do it. It's just drawing lines in basic maths. One thing that I did wonder is if I was able to trace out anything. I might be able to trace out the arm. If the tummy's in line, the legs are slightly different. They're a little bit higher and a little bit misshapen there. What I discovered yesterday was the length that I had done was only big enough for the front. So I've already measured out and cut the front, which I'm pleased with. I'll put that up. I'm not going to fold it up just yet. So I'm going to start on the back. What I do use is one of these, because I need to, in some cases, find a halfway mark or a quarter or whatever it is that I need to do. I'm going to start with his foot here. I usually line up what I can where I can. So I've got my O here. I'm going to start lining that up. And when it comes to N, I have a little bit of a discrepancy, which is 1. And I've timesed it by 1.5. So I'm going to put that there and find my 1.5. So it's got to dissect here and come on around here. Actually, it needs to come in a little bit further. So when I find things like that, it could be 2. So it could be a 3 here. When I come round, I'll do it from the other side. Doing some shapes are awkward if you're the wrong way around, and I usually do an arc that way. But I'll still plot what it is I want. Now that's a 2. So if I've got 2 and I want to make it 2.5, that'd be... So his foot has to come and dissect at 3. I'll smooth the lines out a little bit later, and then I'll go for the shortest side, which is on here, and I will measure that out to there, and that will give me the line for his foot there. And I do this all the way around. Just line up the ones that I need. So the next one is 2, which would be 3 to there, and then I'll go from the bottom up 3, so that'd be 4.5 up. So I'm always doing the maths in my head. That's my dissection point. So I'm going to bring this down and dissect here. But I'm always making measurements as I go on round. It dissects here somewhere, which is probably 1. Okay, I'm going to do 1 whole 1 this side and 1.5 eighths there. So that's my dissection point there. And I just join those lines up. It's really easy to do. That's halfway through, so half of a square is there. So I need to bring this round like that and join the 2 up in a nice curve. Now I've found that my curves aren't always that good, but when I cut it, I usually straighten things out or shape them better. So that's what I'm going to do, is I follow this teddy bear all the way around this grid until the whole shape is done. All that remains is that I cut it out, so I am going to cut as smoothly as I can around. Now a couple of places I'm going to alter it slightly because it's close enough, but the scissors give a better shaping than my drawing. As long as it's as close as possible, that's all that matters. I'm able to smooth out some of my rough lines. I'm not going to whiz round, I'm going to take my time, and I'll cut all the way around. Now the nice thing about having this grid system is that everything goes either on the warp or the weft thread. So I'm going to measure across from here to there and put a pin in, just up and down. So if I say that's 3 inches to there, it just has to be 3 inches to there. Move him up like that and just recheck the numbers, because I'm sure he's moved a little bit. There's my 3, and it really didn't move very much on that one. So I'll pop this back in here.